Bruno Mars finally opened up about something he had kept hidden for many years. In a surprising 2025 interview, he revealed the real reason behind his massive $50 million gambling debt with MGM. It wasn't just a matter of bad luck, there was a deeper truth from his past that had stayed secret since childhood. This same secret also led to the end of his 14-year relationship with Jessica Cabin, as friends said she discovered something that changed everything. Now, Bruno is considering retirement and plans to give away his fortune. What he shared reshapes the image of the perfect life people have always associated with him. Bruno Mars was born as Peter Gene Hernandez on October 8, 1985, in Honolulu, Hawaii. His childhood was far from the picture-perfect life often seen in magazines. He grew up in Kalihi, a neighborhood where 7 people lived in a small house that felt crowded. His mother, Bernadette San Pedro Bayet, had left the Philippines in 1968 and worked as a hula dancer to make a living. His father, Peter Hernandez, was from Brooklyn and played drums, traveling wherever he could find work. Music wasn't just a hobby in their home, it was essential to survival. The house was always filled with the sounds of reggae, doo-wop, R&B, and Elvis records. Bruno's uncle even impersonated Elvis and gave him a microphone when he was just 3 years old. He wore an oversized Elvis jumpsuit on stage, and the audience didn't laugh at him, they clapped and cheered. From a very young age, Bruno didn't know fear or hesitation on stage. By the age of 4, he was performing 5 nights a week with his family's band, the Love Notes, at tourist spots like the Outrigger Waikiki Hotel. He wasn't shy, he stood tall and sang with confidence, earning the nickname Little Elvis. Tourists were amazed, and locals couldn't believe how talented he was. His father managed every aspect of his career, acting as manager, driver, promoter, and disciplinarian. Bruno wasn't just singing, he learned to play drums, piano, ukulele, and guitar before most children even learned multiplication tables. He wasn't performing for fun, he was performing to help pay the rent. Despite playing almost every night, money was always tight, and the family depended on welfare to survive. When Bruno was 6, his life changed dramatically as his parents separated. The split was not only emotional but also practical. Bruno and his brother, Eric, stayed with their father, while the rest of the family went with their mother. Without a steady income, Bruno and his father often had nowhere to stay. They slept in the back of a van, in abandoned buildings, and even in a place called Paradise Park, an old bird zoo with no lights, no bathroom, and no comfort. They stayed there for 2 years, relying on each other to survive. Bruno later described nights when they didn't even know what they would eat the next day. Yet through it all, he remained determined to play music. By the age of 10, he was performing over 200 shows a year. The Royal Hawaiian Theatre became his second home, and the stage lights were his playground. Performing helped pay the bills, but it also meant his childhood slipped away. When his parents divorced in 1997, Bruno's life became even more unstable. He and his father went back to living in a van, parked wherever they could find space. The van was infested with rats, smelled of rust, and was full of hardships. They bathed where they could and relied on the kindness of strangers to survive. By the time he was 12, Bruno had begun performing on the streets of Waikiki. He impersonated Elvis and Michael Jackson to earn money, sometimes bringing in $50 to $100 a day. That was a fortune for someone his age without any other support, but performing on the street also came with humiliation. Some people mocked him, while others ignored him entirely. Despite it all, Bruno kept singing, dancing, and smiling. Performing on the concrete streets wasn't about fame, it was about survival. It meant food, shelter, and a sense of dignity. At 14, Bruno made a bold choice that surprised his family. He left Hawaii for Los Angeles with his sister and dropped out of school, believing that music was his only chance at a better life. Los Angeles was harsh and unforgiving. He played wherever he could, clubs, open mics, even empty rooms. He delivered pizzas and slept on couches. Sometimes he had nothing to eat, but he never told his mother because he didn't want to hurt her. Friends later said he often showed up at recording studios in worn-out clothes, looking exhausted and hungry, but he never complained. He kept singing, writing, and showing up, hoping for a break. In 2004, at just 18 years old, Bruno got his first real opportunity when Uptown Records signed him as a songwriter. However, it wasn't smooth sailing. The label dropped him a year later. Industry insiders told him he wasn't black enough for R&B and too black for pop, leaving him stuck in the middle and struggling to find his place. Instead of giving up, he worked even harder, writing songs for other artists. In 2009, he co-wrote the hit Right Round for Flo Rida, which sold 6.8 million copies. Despite the success, no one knew it was Bruno behind the song, but it helped him pay rent and continue pursuing his dream. That same year, he formed a group called the Smeezingtons with Philip Lawrence and Ari Levine. The three of them worked tirelessly in small rooms, borrowing equipment and recording demos for less than $1,000. One of their demos was Just the Way You Are, which didn't initially seem like a mega hit but felt authentic. By 2010, Bruno had finally signed with Atlantic Records, not just as a songwriter but as a performer. When Just the Way You Are was released in October 2010, it didn't just chart, it exploded. By 2013, it had sold 8.9 million digital copies and reached number 1 in 17 countries. The song's success wasn't due to a massive marketing campaign, it spread because people loved it and shared it. In 2011, Bruno won a Grammy for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. During his acceptance performance, he moonwalked as a tribute to Michael Jackson, and even when his pants ripped mid-performance, he laughed it off and kept going. That moment showed more about his character than any award speech could. Despite the rising fame, Bruno's life wasn't without challenges. In September 2010, he had an encounter with law enforcement in Las Vegas. A hotel attendant noticed him acting strangely, and security intervened. Instead of denying it, Bruno handed over a small bag containing 2.6 grams of cocaine. He was just 24 at the time, riding high after performing at a club while Just the Way You Are was climbing the Billboard Hot 100. He later pleaded guilty in February 2011. He didn't go to jail but paid $2,000, served 12 months of probation, completed 200 hours of community service, and attended drug counseling. If he stayed clean for a year, the charge would be removed from his record. This incident didn't end his career, but it added a layer of complexity to the image he was building. Fame had come quickly, but challenges followed just as fast. Later in 2010, Bruno released Grenade, a song that almost didn't make it onto the album. The final version was recorded just 2 days before the deadline, but it became an instant hit. The lyrics, inspired by a painful breakup, spoke of loving someone so deeply that you would sacrifice everything, even when the other person wouldn't do the same. Grenade debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, topped charts in 15 countries, and sold over 10.2 million copies worldwide by the end of 2011. It was the second best-selling single of the year and earned him 3 Grammy nominations. Although Adele won most of the awards that year, the song marked an important milestone. Bruno became the first male artist in 13 years to have his first 2 singles reach number 1 in both the US and UK. This period of his life highlighted Bruno's resilience. From a childhood filled with poverty, instability, and performing for survival, to moving to Los Angeles with nothing, enduring struggles, and working tirelessly to break into the music industry, Bruno Mars' journey is a testament to determination. Despite setbacks, including legal issues and industry rejections, he continued to write, perform, and eventually captivate the world with his talent. Every song carried the weight of his experiences, and every performance reflected the lessons he had learned through hardship. His story also reveals a side of fame and success that people rarely see. Behind the glitz, the Grammys, and the sold-out concerts, there was a young boy who had to fight for every meal, every night indoors, every chance to sing. Bruno Mars' life is a mix of struggle and triumph, showing how someone can rise from extreme adversity to global stardom while never losing the core of who they are. His music became more than entertainment, it became a reflection of his life, his battles, and his resilience. Bruno's journey shows that talent alone is not enough. Hard work, persistence, and courage in the face of hardship are what turn dreams into reality. From performing in his tiny hometown to walking on stages around the world, Bruno Mars has become an icon, not just for his music but for his incredible story of survival, perseverance, and success. His life reminds us that no matter how difficult circumstances may be, determination and passion can pave the way for extraordinary achievements. Even as he considers retirement and plans to give away his fortune, Bruno's story will continue to inspire millions who face challenges, proving that the path to greatness is often paved with struggle, sacrifice, and unwavering belief in oneself. This is Bruno Mars, Peter Jean Hernandez, a boy from a small house in Hawaii who became one of the biggest stars in the world, showing that with talent, resilience, and heart, it's possible to overcome even the toughest odds and reach heights once thought impossible. Behind the polished suits and bright lights, Bruno Mars was a man quietly rebuilding his life and career, step by step. By 2012, that rebuilding faced a major challenge. During the recording sessions for Unorthodox Jukebox, Bruno made a bet at the MGM Grand Casino. It wasn't a small wager, he lost $50,000 in a single night. Rumors quickly escalated, with some claiming he had lost $50 million. Years later, in a 2025 Spotify post, Bruno laughed off the exaggeration, confirming the real loss was just $50,000. Still, the gossip had done its work, making people wonder if fame and success were starting to weigh him down. Despite the distraction, he continued to work tirelessly, always performing with a smile, though it became clear that his career was about more than just music. Every choice, every move, and every public appearance was measured and calculated. In 2013, Bruno launched the Moonshine Jungle Tour, which spanned 161 shows and grossed $156.4 million. The energy he brought to the stage was legendary. During one show in Berlin in 2014, he fractured his ankle mid-performance but refused to stop. He danced, sang, and carried on, hiding the injury from the audience until the show ended. That moment became a defining example for his crew, showing what Bruno was willing to endure for his craft. For him, it wasn't about enduring pain, it was about living with purpose, giving everything to the music and the fans. Then came the defining night of his career, the Super Bowl 48 halftime show on February 2, 2014, at MetLife Stadium. An audience of 115.3 million watched as Bruno led a 12-minute performance that would become the most-watched halftime show at the time. The Red Hot Chili Peppers joined him, but the spotlight remained on Bruno. He opened with a drum solo on a kit featuring his late mother's face, a touching tribute after her passing the year before. Despite rain during Runaway Baby, he didn't falter. Every beat was perfect, every note precise. That night, the boy from Honolulu stood at the center of the world and held his ground, proving he could handle fame and pressure with unwavering strength. A few years later, in 2017, Bruno began a transformative collaboration with Anderson .Paak. What started as a recording session in Los Angeles evolved into something extraordinary. Together, they built a studio inspired by the 1970s, bringing in vintage instruments, Ludwig drums, a Hohner clavinet D6, and old SSL mixing boards. The rental alone cost over $2 million, but neither of them cared. They recorded live, often with just one or two microphones at a time, remixing tracks until every sound was perfect. These sessions gave birth to Silk Sonic, a project that would redefine both their careers. When An Evening with Silk Sonic released in 2021, the music world stopped to listen. The lead single, Leave the Door Open, remained in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 for 18 weeks and spent 3 weeks at number 1. In 2022, Silk Sonic received 7 Grammy nominations and won all 4 categories they were eligible for, including Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Album of the Year. Bruno then made a move that surprised many. He announced he would no longer submit for future Grammys. Some saw it as humility, others called it a strategic power move. Either way, it allowed him to take full control of his career and legacy. Yet in January 2025, something happened that music alone couldn't fix. After 14 years together, Bruno Mars and Jessica Cabin confirmed their breakup. They had always been private about their relationship, which began in 2011, and the split shocked fans. Observers started reading between the lines of Bruno's lyrics, realizing that songs like After Last Night weren't just music, they were goodbye letters. Friends revealed that the breakup stemmed from immense personal, professional, and emotional pressures. Jessica's quiet social media posts confirmed the separation. This breakup didn't just affect Bruno's personal life, it influenced his music. His voice became raw, the smooth edges faded, and heartbreak added a new depth to his work. Despite the emotional toll, his career momentum didn't slow. An Evening with Silk Sonic sold 1.5 million copies, and in 2025, Bruno extended his Las Vegas residency at Park MGM by adding 24 more shows, grossing an additional $20 million. On stage, he joked about the money invested in the spectacle, but behind the scenes, every move was carefully planned. The residency drew fans from all over the world and set new records for single-artist residencies in Las Vegas. Bruno first stepped onto the Las Vegas stage in December 2016 at Park MGM. From the very first show, it was clear that audiences had never seen anything like it. His name alone drew crowds that shattered expectations. By 2018, he had performed 115 sold-out shows, grossing over $12 million. Each night was a spectacle, with $50,000 worth of pyrotechnics and a stage built for nothing less than perfection. Fans kept coming, captivated by the energy, precision, and charisma he brought. By 2024, his total gross from the residency had reached $124.5 million, with 410,000 tickets sold. Then, on New Year's Eve 2024, with 5,514 fans packed inside the venue, the one-night take earned $3.278 million, becoming the most successful single-theater show in Las Vegas residency history. Billboard immediately recognized this record-breaking achievement. Through it all, Bruno Mars demonstrated his commitment not just to music but to artistry, showmanship, and audience connection. He transformed Silk Sonic into a cultural phenomenon, blending nostalgia with heartbreak, rhythm with risk, and emotion with spectacle. Each performance reflected not only his talent but also his perseverance, determination, and desire to create experiences that audiences would never forget. From playing in small clubs to commanding the world's biggest stages, Bruno's career is defined by passion, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Even as he faced personal heartbreak, intense pressure, and the highs and lows of fame, Bruno's ability to remain focused, inventive, and grounded made him a true icon of his generation. His journey shows how talent combined with hard work, courage, and vision can overcome nearly any obstacle, proving that success is not just about the spotlight, it's about the heart and soul poured into every performance. Bruno Mars' story is one of grit, creativity, and unwavering dedication, a reminder that the path to greatness is rarely smooth but always worth the journey. This narrative highlights Bruno Mars' evolution, from a young boy struggling on the streets of Honolulu, performing for survival, to a world-renowned artist setting records on the largest stages. His story is both inspiring and humbling, showing that behind the fame and fortune is a man who has fought, risked, and persevered at every step, building not just a career but a legacy that will resonate for generations. Bruno Mars' career has always been about more than music. Behind the perfectly tailored suits and dazzling performances is a man shaped by hardship, resilience, and a relentless drive to create. By 2022, his Las Vegas residency had become the #1 R&B tour in the world. It wasn't just a success, it was a blueprint for what a solo artist could achieve. Even when people assumed the residency might be winding down, Bruno kept pushing forward. In 2023, he added 25 more dates, bringing back Silk Sonic with Anderson .Paak. Fans who thought the duo had finished their journey were thrilled to see them perform together again. The New Year's Eve weekend in December 2023 added 5 extra shows, each bigger than the last. During one of those nights, he performed a brand new song, Die With a Smile, live for the first time. It wasn't released yet, but the performance immediately set the internet ablaze. People replayed it endlessly, and rumors spread that it was a signal for his 2025 album. The excitement and anticipation showed that Bruno's music wasn't just entertainment, it was an event, a connection, a promise. His shows weren't only about the music. During a 2024 performance, he paused mid-set, turning off the lights and stepping away from any stage gimmicks. He spoke directly to the audience about growing up homeless in Hawaii, sleeping on floors, and facing hardships most people never imagine. He dedicated When I Was Your Man to anyone struggling, choking up as he shared a piece of his life. Fans and media were stunned. A video of that moment went viral, reaching 10 million views within days. Bruno wasn't just performing anymore, he was opening his life to the world, showing a vulnerability that few stars dare to reveal. His shows were also technological marvels. He used a custom LED floor with over 1,000 lights, designed to pulse in sync with his heartbeat through a wearable tech system that cost $5 million. Each beat created waves of light that made fans feel the music, not just hear it. Even when the system glitched in 2022, flashing out of sync during a performance, Bruno smiled and joked, calling the stage nervous. The audience laughed, and the show continued seamlessly. Moments like that deepened the connection between him and his fans, showing that perfection isn't about avoiding mistakes but about embracing them with authenticity. In November 2025, Bruno announced another 20 shows for 2026. Fans cheered but also paused, sensing the bittersweet tone. He spoke about personal revelations, semi-retirement, and hinted that his next album might be his last. During the announcement, one line stuck with everyone: "I'll leave you with this." No explanation, just a simple, heavy truth that made fans scramble to secure tickets. Every seat sold out within hours, as audiences didn't want to miss what might be the final chapter of a legendary career. Bruno's story began long before the bright lights. By age 4, he had already begun performing, and by 10, he had completed over 1,000 shows. Unlike other children, he didn't grow up with toys or school dances. He grew up under stage lights, sleeping in cars or on rooftops in Hawaii after his parents split. His father lost his business, and his mother disappeared from the spotlight, leaving Bruno, his brother Eric, and their dad to survive wherever they could, even in a closed-down bird zoo called Paradise Park. It was cold, lonely, and strange, but it was there that Bruno heard music more clearly than ever before. He called this period his darkest secret, admitting he was bullied for smelling like rusted iron and old feathers, the residue of living in spaces not meant for humans. Still, he performed 5 nights a week, sometimes 2 shows a night, because music was the only place he didn't feel invisible.